All right, we are recording, and I am almost done with a glass of whiskey.
And I keep nursing this coffee, and it's not like getting close at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to be up all night. I just don't want to
Oh,
wait.
you see you, but that's because you did. I do the same thing. When I have an event, a virtual event or whatever at night, I'll be like, if it starts at 7 or 8 or something, I'll be like, I'll have just a little bit of coffee just to get through the event. But then you just keep drinking it, and then the event's over in an hour, and you're like, oh no, now I have to go to sleep. What was that thought process?
Yes, yes. And for people who are wondering, like, what events are you doing? I just got done doing a lecture for a virtual clown alley. I was literally talking to a bunch of clowns, and I was doing a presentation on social media, how they can grow their social media platforms for clowns. So it was fun, though. It was great. They had great questions, and yeah, you have a question?
Now, I do. I have a question. Now, you said how to grow their social media for clowns. Now, are you giving different advice than if you were talking to lawyers?
Um, Honestly, probably not.
Right, right.
However, though, I think the clowning is a very inherently interesting one to talk to because of how visual their medium is. And not only is it a visual medium, there's just such an array of content that they could take advantage of. I mean, clowns would be able to be potentially great at doing memes, even I mean, my main philosophy that I had for them is that not making the content be a chore to do, right? About
Mm.
consolidating it, having that pillar content, something that me and you both know about, and then editing it down to get with one video enough content for like 2 weeks or more, depending on what they do. But also even some of those other ideas. I said, get a joke book, do the joke of the week with a little video, do a meme, take stills, put little funny graphics on it. There's so much that they could do. And some of them were doing that stuff too. So I needed to educate them a little bit on like hashtags, and some of them had hashtags, but they're not hashtags that are going to help them in any way. And also, another thing that I mean, because generally, this is definitely generalizing, many clowns tend to be a little bit older. They tend to be, a lot of clowns are people who have retired, and this is kind of something they do to stay active in the community and stuff. Not all of them, but many. And from that standpoint, a lot of people of those generations tend to be like, or I'm only going to do Facebook because that's what I know, kind of a thing. And it's just good to remind them that their clients use Instagram, their clients use TikTok.
You know what though? I used to laugh at that and kind of poke fun at that, but I get that now because I'm becoming the same way. Like I used to stay up on all the new socials that would come out, and I kept jumping on everything new. But you know me, and we've talked about this here. Over the last 2 years or so, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I'm on 5 or 6 different things. No, I'm not doing TikTok. No, I'm not trying whatever this new thing. I can't just keep splitting my focus on it. And I get that, and I don't know what to do about it.
No, no, no. Again, what I would tell you is for you, it'd be a little bit different. Because if you were, let's say you wanted to start your TikTok finally, for you, what I would say, again, don't make it a chore, which is what I was saying before.
Mm.
What you're doing for your Instagram, what's it called? What's the,
The
not
stories?
the stories? Yes. What you're doing for your Instagram stories would be a great thing for TikTok, at bare minimum, just to play, especially since, again, you're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Why not just post it on TikTok too? That's what I'm saying. That's a good way to dip your toe in, and then you see what resonates, and maybe that'll affect the way you do it. Maybe it won't. Again, that's a way to dip your toe in.
Yeah, no, I get that. So
And I
no,
saw
not
you
not not
kind of doing that. Again, I know you don't want to do TikTok specifically for more of the potential security reasons, but Instagram did just roll out their knockoff of Reels, and I saw you doing that, which is, again, virtually the same thing.
I'm playing a little bit. What I like about it, first of all, I never got into. I had Snapchat for about a half a second when that first came out, and I got rid of it because it was the thing, and I didn't want to be on there, and it was just it didn't feel like the right thing for me. But it's mostly because it was another app. I was just another app I had to keep going to. And once Instagram copied them and flat out just stole it, copied it, there's nothing ethical about what Instagram did to Snapchat. But Once Instagram rolled out stories, I was like, oh, I can do this. And a couple years ago, I started using, because it was already in the app I was already using every day. And so I can see myself playing with it now that it's within the same space in my head and on my phone. And I like Instagram for just pulling it out and going, whether it's a story or, for me, I like doing the IGTVs where I get to go for 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, where I can just hit record on hands-free mode and talk and just go, here's what's on my mind right now. And I know I could do that on YouTube, but it feels different. Like Instagram, even though it would be kind of the same thing, YouTube feels a lot more permanent. Even though everything on the internet's permanent, Instagram feels like I can just go, here's what's going on right now. Here's my thought process. And after a day, nobody's going to see that again, even if it's there forever.
Well, I think what you're describing is, the main difference between posting that same content on both of those platforms is YouTube's a search engine. And, so anyone can stumble across it and find it. Whereas on Instagram, the likelihood of someone accidentally stumbling across that is very small. It's
Yeah.
both going out to your personal audience that you already have some sort of a connection with. And
And
arguably it does that on YouTube as well. But again, the fact that it's built into a search engine makes it just open to people in a different way. Not that you don't want to open to people, but like we're kind of saying, it's a little bit more personal, so it's kind of it's better suited for that.
and on Instagram, so like the other day when I did that, when I just did a little story and about I conquered the resistance, right? I've been struggling to keep up with my blog. I haven't missed, but I'm struggling to come up with something interesting to say, and then I finally just cracked down and wrote 6 blogs in 2 days to get ahead of myself for when the baby comes. And I was proud of that moment. I thought it was something that other people would be inspired by or appreciate or whatever. So I just recorded for 5 minutes, and immediately I got feedback. People commented on it. They enjoyed it right away. And I got responses from people I actually know, not just people whose screen names I know. And so, yeah, I liked that. I don't know. There's so many things, but more to the point, right? I got a baby that might be here tomorrow, could be here next week, and I'm about to go through what you went through about a year ago for the first time, which is taking all these things where I just have unlimited time to do whatever I want, and I still feel like I can't get everything done. And then suddenly having 20% of that time, 10% of that time, plus no sleep and no energy. Do you have any last advice for me over the next few weeks? Because let me just say this. I don't have an easy schedule like I would have in a normal pre-pandemic world. I had a normal schedule. I had taken October and part of November off. I had said, that's it for the first time ever. I'm blocking off 6 weeks. I'm not going on tour. I'm not doing events. But virtually, it's so easy, quote unquote, to just come in here and do an event for an hour. It felt silly not to take stuff. Well, whoops, I'm packed. I'm booked. And yeah. So what do you say? What do I do? How do I do this?
I think, first of all, when you were saying that, it kind of reminds me of a Jim Gaffigan joke where he's talking about, he's like, do you know what having 4 kids is like? It's like, imagine you're drowning and then someone hands you a baby,
Yeah.
like, it's that kind of a thing. Having a lot of kids. No, but anyway, I mean, just a couple things that I'd give you as advice, support your wife as much as you can, which I know you will anyway, because especially for those first couple of weeks and stuff, she'll be, exhausted and healing from giving birth, no matter, regardless of how she delivers. And also, again, it's kind of, I think I gave you this advice before, is don't revolve your life around the baby. Make the baby part of your life, because like we talked about before, there's tons of my videos of me building puppets with Fred strapped to my chest, and again, I understand that maybe then again, you're doing something different than I'm doing, so I understand why you might not in many of your videos or any of your videos have you holding your baby while you're talking, but I can definitely imagine your baby strapped to your chest while you're editing videos and editing podcasts.
There's literally, Fred was like, I don't know, I want to say days old.
Yeah.
And I was in your studio testing out this microphone for you which that's not even the same one because I ended up returning mine
Yeah, it's
because I
right
didn't.
here, still,
Yeah,
still,
yeah,
still mounted from when you mounted it for me,
yeah,
connected to my
exactly.
system.
You probably just threw it off by doing that. So
Yeah.
it's I worked so hard. um, so that yeah, you're. It's so funny that Fred. I remember saying that mic is so good. It's picking up Fred. She sounded like she was like she was like snoring weirdly, and it was picking it up on the live stream you were doing as we tested. And there was a video on my channel and on your channel with that, and that she was like days old, like I don't know, 10, 12 days old. It was crazy. First baby, only baby I've ever held, apart from my little brother when I was 5 or whatever. Yeah. So that's my experience with babies is
Yeah, and
that.
well, you're going to be a pro soon, whether or not you like it, because you have to be. You know, your child's life depends on it.
Yeah. What I'm wondering though is, did it force you to get more efficient, more picky with projects, to get more to find better, faster ways to do things? Or did you, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, do I need to get rid of some of the things I do, or do I need to just get better and faster at doing the things I do?
A little bit of both, but I would say getting rid of something is probably the last straw of it, because the reality is, and this is going to sound harsher than I mean it. I'm probably I'm just going to talk and not worry about it. But the reality is, like in me, when I'm teaching, I can't take care of Fred. When I go to school, I can't take care of Fred. Okay, so when Fred was born, Maria was home, and so she took care of Fred. And in the same way, like while you're doing a show, you just have to focus on your job, and that's why you have a partnership. It is a partnership. There are times where you have to watch your child while your wife is doing either working or doing some personal stuff, and there's times that she will have to watch the child because you working or doing personal stuff. And at the end of the day, especially, I mean, it's not uncommon for one of the parents to do more of the taking care of the child, because generally one of them also has to be making the money for the family. So that's just kind of a normal, I don't know how else to say that other than just
Yeah.
find your balance.
No, that and that's fair, and honestly, this is all coming from me and not from Lindsay, because every time I've expressed, and Lindsay, and you know her, well enough, and she's rock solid, and our relationship is rock solid, thank God for that, right? And so every time I've expressed these concerns, like how am I going to get my work done? How am I going to focus on my events? How am I going to I can't just stop doing all social media. I can back off a little bit, but I can't just stop because the cumulative effect, because 6 months from now I'll need to still have a career, right? I need to keep doing this stuff. And she every time she's like, yeah, but she goes, but I'm the one taking maternity leave. So, and you're working. So if you had, she said to me a bunch of times recently, she said, normally the dad is going into an office or going into work. Like normally you'd be gone 8, 9 hours a day. The fact that you're home is just a bonus. It means in between the stuff that you're doing, you'll be here, but normally you wouldn't even be here. You'd be out at an office somewhere. And so
Or
like
even in the case of an emergency, you're
yeah,
there. Whereas if there's an
yeah,
emergency when I'm at school, I gotta drive 45 minutes to, if I can even drop what I'm doing. Whereas
yeah.
worst case, if you're in the middle of a magic show, oh, whoops, I lost connection. Just unplug it. What I mean, obviously you wouldn't do that.
I
You'd be
did.
professional.
I
But
I did actually lose connection in the middle of an event for the first time in 6 months.
oh man,
Our the entire internet into the house, it just nothing to do with us. It was outside the house. It was the community. It just blipped out. I was in the middle of a live stream for a client, and I saw my StreamYard just go blank and then start doing this, and it's like, oops, you've lost your internet connection. And I was in the uh, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I just waited, and after about 15 seconds, it popped back in, and I saw the people in the backstage area with me, and I saw comments coming in the live chat that were like, he's gone, and 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 I said right away, I said, hey everybody, I'm back. I think the internet just went out in our community. You're all still here? Give me a thumbs up if you can still see me. And everybody was like, we're still here. And I was like, okay.
and that's live television,
I,
kid.
I can't believe I made it 6 months before that happened. But I tell you what, though, I spent 2 hours with Xfinity on the phone the next day Talked to a lot of I kept talking to supervisor up to supervisor. We just had people come out to the house the other day to check the lines outside. They verified there is a problem in this community, which I've been telling them for 2 years. But this time I got to make a different argument. I was like, so listen, we're paying for the highest tier package. You've got all of our money. My entire ability to put food on the table for my baby now depends on your internet connection. So I was like speaking in like loosely legal terms around what I was saying. I was like, so you need to fix this. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I know we're bouncing around a lot of topics. Part of that is probably just because I'm scattered. I'm anxious.
What?
You remember, I'm waiting. I'm like, it could be tomorrow. What if it's tomorrow? I'm not ready.
You know what's funny too? Again, I know it's different for everybody too, but we were saying it could be any day for like the whole month before. Like it was like pretty much right on point. We actually at a certain point
Yeah.
we had it scheduled her being induced, but so if it came before then it would, but we kind of knew what day it would be, and that's what ended up happening. But and more often it's from my friends, at least it seems to be later than sooner.
Yeah.
Or whatever that's worth. But I guess what I want to tie back to really quick is what
Yeah.
you mentioned about cutting down. Like, am I gonna have to do this less? And again, I can see why people might say this is bad advice, but I would say just try to stay afloat. If it ever becomes a problem or a stress, then it's like, well, I'm gonna miss this one. I wouldn't plan to do less. I would
Yeah.
plan to do the same, and if you miss sometimes, forgive yourself. That's
Yeah.
really what I did, because a lot of times when I didn't do it, I didn't even notice that I didn't do it. And I was just like, oh, well, I'll just, the next one will be good.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. No, I'll definitely do that. I mean, I've partly done that already over the last month or two with other things I've been prioritizing. My Instagram fell off a little. I kind of just started missing my regular feed posts. Just the quote back and forth with the blog and whatever. I was writing blogs and I was working on projects. I had to tell you something. I don't know how it's happening, but every time you've muted yourself to cough this episode, the camera has switched to you to show you cough every single time.
Hmm.
I have to tell you, normally you would mute yourself, and I think it's something you must be making noise as you go to mute yourself that it's switching the camera. So every time I see you silently coughing for a second before it clicks back on me, I just have to tell you that's this whole episode.
Oh, well, hope people enjoy.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So yeah, I had a point where I missed a couple of Instagram posts, and I was like, oh, I missed my Instagram schedule, and then I was like, all right, so I missed my Instagram schedule. I just went on with my life.
Yeah,
I don't know.
to bring up another not relevant quote that doesn't even it reminds me of the Hulk when he's like, what's your secret? He's like, I'm always angry, and he punches it. It's like, my secret to you would be don't have a schedule. Then you can't
Yeah.
just do it whenever you can, as much as you can. That's what
Yeah.
I don't have. I know we're doing different things, but I don't have a schedule. I just try to post like at least every 2 days, which you could argue is a schedule, but it's really not. I'm just like, okay, I haven't posted. Let me post something.
Yeah, no, that's how I am with Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm very different though with YouTube. Obviously, YouTube I keep to a schedule. YouTube feels like it needs a schedule, a real schedule, a lot more than some of the other things do.
Oh, you know what? And actually, I'm going to correct myself. It's the same for me. My YouTube schedule, it's every week something. However, I will also say last week I did miss for the first time. Probably I maybe missed like once a year or so, or maybe twice, once in a while a year. But it was the first week of school. Especially with all the changes that have happened in this COVID world we live in, I just didn't get to it.
Speaking of which, maybe you don't want to talk about this publicly, and that's fine. We'll move on. I totally get that, but w- I have so many friends and family who are teachers, so I've talked to a lot of people, and I'm mostly hearing the same thing. But how is it? You and Maria are both teachers. You are both in the classroom. We just got to see you cough again. That was good. So how is it you're teaching kids. Well, so is Maria, right?
Yeah.
How is it with actually more to the point of something relevant to me and to our and to what we talk about sometimes in terms of connecting with the students? How is it having a mask on and having them have masks on all day? Are you losing some of the humanity? Are you doing more with your eyes? Like what's going on?
Well, one thing I'll say to that right away, I think as far as the humanity and stuff you're talking about, not at all. However, I'd say the difference is that I've been working with these kids for a while now, so they already know me. We already have a relationship. So as far as maintaining that, I don't think there's been any problem at all. And actually, it's remarkable how much. I think we've talked about this before. You forget how much you do rely on the mouth for communication and even seeing it, even though you can hear. But you'd be surprised how much you still do get just seeing mostly their eyes. Now, where I would say there's a difference is in with the kids that I haven't known, which is our kindergarten. But then again, like to them, they've never known anything different. They say, "Oh, at school we wear masks." They've never done school before, so it doesn't seem to phase them either. So I'd say, at least so far, as far as a tone in the school, it's been pretty normal. Only thing I will say, and this is, I mean, I will say because for the last 6 months we've been wearing masks every time we go out anywhere, and I will say, wearing a mask for 6 hours is a bit more difficult. And obviously, there's moments where I can take it off if I have a prep time and I'm by myself or something like that, in safe areas. But other than that, I mean that is tough and tougher than I get. Maybe I should have expected it to be tougher, but I mean that's tough.
I mean, that aspect, we're nervous about that because hospitals are requiring us to wear masks, including the woman in labor, the entire time you're there. They're requiring masks in labor the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be interesting. And you know what though? And the other thing is too, we just got through our first week, so maybe after a couple of weeks we won't even notice it. Maybe it is a
Yeah.
matter of just getting used to it. But and actually, I would say today was easier than like the first day last week. So maybe let's get used to it. It's just a very long
Are
time.
are you doing fun, clever masks with art on them and stuff like that? I mean, you got to be doing something interesting with your mask.
Actually, I'm not really, because I've noticed that actually the medical one-time use ones you can hear a lot more clearly.
Oh, interesting.
The
Okay.
fabric ones, if you're really trying to communicate a lot,
It's
I've
muffled.
noticed it's a lot more muffled.
Yeah,
So I
it really is. It's weirdly muffled. Even just when I've had to have conversations and where I'm standing outside and I got someone even 6 feet away from me, and everything, and I got a mask on and they got a mask on, and we're trying to talk. Like you said, first of all, audio is visual, and people forget that all the time. Like I think I've made this point before here, maybe on my audio channel, but if it's ever been at night and it's dark and you hear a random noise in your community, in your neighborhood, and you try to figure out where it's coming from, you could spin in circles. You can't figure out where that noise is coming from if it's dark. If you can't see it, you can't tell. And so we pick up so many cues from the mouth. But then also, yeah, like just a little bit of muffled, like this sounds so stupid, but like this is why getting your EQ right in as audio, like in post production, matters so much, because even if the EQ's off a little bit, that muffled sound makes it really weird and difficult to understand. That's happening for real with the masks on. We're getting it's like there's a blanket over the audio. It's very
Yeah,
strange.
well, that too, and especially for kids, like it was always important for a kid to raise their hand before talking, but now it's like even more important because like someone says something, like, okay, someone over here said something, because you don't see their masks move, so or rather their mouths move.
Are
You really don't
are,
even
are
know
kids
where it's coming from.
are kids taking advantage of that to like say
Not yet.
crazy things and be like,
Not yet. They haven't discovered it yet. But I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure it'll come.
are you planning on doing a ventriloquism for the COVID era, just with the
I,
masks on?
maybe I just have missed it, but I am shocked that that's not more of a joke. Again, maybe I'm just missing it.
I've heard the joke like once before, and I thought for sure it would be way more prevalent.
Yeah, not only is it more prevalent in general, but especially I'm a puppeteer. It's like a big part. People have been making ventriloquist jokes. I can see your mouth move forever, but for some reason it just hasn't. Like maybe specifically ventriloquists have been getting that a lot, but as a puppet person who gets a lot of ventriloquist type of comments at me, I've never heard one person say it.
I can't believe Jeff Dunham hasn't come out and reclaimed his former glory with a new special that has him without a mask but the puppets with masks on. You know what I mean? Like that would be like a thing that Dunham would do in the middle of all this.
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure it's coming. He just probably waiting for an audience.
That's so depressing. Oh man, I don't know. We've talked around a lot of different issues. I have no idea what we're going to call this episode. Anything else on your mind? Any projects you want to talk through or anything going on?
Not really. Just projects in general. I wouldn't. Well, actually, a couple things. I was thinking about saving it, but I just bought a drone this week.
I saw you post a video with the drone attacking your wife. I laughed so hard.
Yes, yes.
But
It's
but mostly because I know your wife.
yeah. No, it is. I've thought about it for a long time. I was like, oh, I don't need that, and I'm telling you, I'm so glad that I bought it. I bought the perfect one for me. I bought the Mavic Mini. It was like $400, which in drone terms is very very cheap. Okay, and considering the camera you get on it, it's a steal for the camera alone. I'm like, that's like what that's cheaper than cheaper or equal to a new GoPro, and it's equally as good if you compensate for the gyroscope on it.
I
Because it's
mean,
2.7K, super stable.
what did you get it for specifically?
Why would you ask me that? Well, I knew it would be something that it's one of those things where once in a while I just buy something where it's like, is this going to be as useful as I think it is? Probably not, but I guess I'll take that chance. And I'm telling you, I know I'm going to. First of all, it's super fun. So that's what I like about it is I can use it professionally, and I have nothing else that can use that recreationally too.
Yeah.
I just take it out for a half hour and just fly it around and have a blast. Okay. But honestly, the stabilization of the camera, because I don't even have to fly it. I can literally carry it around and
Mhm.
film things. And this fluid, super smooth footage because of that, the gyroscope. That's what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
It is.
that
I can't believe it's butter. And I'll tell you one thing. I'm not a realtor. Every single realtor should own that drone 100% because you can just hold it, do a tour of the house, walk around it, do your outside shots, do outside video. You'll sell houses like crazy.
Oh man, I get that though about whenever you can make a business expense, that's something you'll also enjoy, which you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to write it off if you're also gonna just for covering both of our assets. Of course, you can't write it off if you're also going to use it for personal use. But isn't it lovely when you have something for your business that you can actually use and enjoy? When I got this new lens, a new lens and a new body for my camera. We had talked about new camera body so that I could leave my live stream cameras set up and then have just one single unit that's for content creation. And I decided to go for a higher level kind of Micro Four Thirds Pro level lens, and it was a lot. It was expensive, at least for the Micro Four Thirds system. But I realized that with a baby on the way, this was exactly the lens. A zoom lens with the full range that was a constant aperture f2.8, perfect for a baby. It doesn't matter, they're not moving, but as it gets older, starts moving around, crawling around, it's perfect for being able to just take photos and videos of the kid as it's growing up. And it was like, I can totally justify spending the money on this for my business, knowing that I'm also going to be able to use it and enjoy it personally. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Oh, no, and I'll definitely be able to enjoy it because to be honest, I don't see myself using it that often for most of the content that I create currently because most of it is documenting process of building, which if I did another big like Avenue, not Avenue Q, I'm sorry, Little Shop of Horrors puppet outside of the big one, like it'd be useful for that. But I
Mm.
see myself mostly using it for narrative, for things that like a short film. If we ever do a 48-hour film festival again or a commercial, I can 100% see myself using it. Especially, I mean, let's say I do this, I made like some sort of a bat character or a bird character, and doing the point of view shot of the character flying around and stuff, doing that, like that would be so cool. And even just other establishing shots, which would be
Yeah.
hard to get with some of my other cameras, at least as easily and quickly. Things like that. Like it is one of those tools where it's like you don't need it, but if you have it, it is the perfect right tool for the job that'll make your life a lot easier and do it much faster, save you time.
There's a
And
whole lot of things
I
like
get to
that.
play
Like,
with it.
what is it?
And I get to play with it every day if I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to.
yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. I'm always frustrated by those purchases that are like once a year. I only need this thing once a year, but once a year, I'm so happy I have that one random thing. I, you know, my GoPro died in the in Cairns, Australia, in the Great Barrier Reef. RIP GoPro. But I had the GoPro Hero 5 Black, which at the time was the best, newest, highest model at the time. Of course, now it's old, but and it's dead. But I used the GoPro not nearly as much as I originally expected to, for lots of reasons. The video quality was terrible, and anything other than brilliantly bright sunlight, and all those other things, and it just the footage looked like a potato. But once in a while, I would do a really cool point of view shot where when I was doing vlogs, I was going to go reach into something in the vlog, and then I would put the GoPro inside that thing and show my hand coming into it, like tiny little like filmmaking kind of stuff like that. It was so small, I could just shove it anywhere, just shove it into a nook, crevice, you could just like tape it to a wall anywhere, and it would stay there. And I loved it for so many things. The one thing it's designed for, action sports, is the thing that killed it. I took it all the way, 36 hours, 2 days of flying to the Great Barrier Reef, once in a lifetime trip. Took it into the water. Within 10 minutes, it was dead. We had barely snorkeled out further than like 30 feet. I hadn't even gotten to the cool stuff yet. I have like 5 minutes of footage, 10 minutes of footage of basically just shallow water. And then it was dead. And it turns out, even though it was completely sealed all the way, and it was only the second time it had ever been in water, just a little bit of water leaked in, shorted the whole thing. Totally dead, bricked. GoPro doesn't care. Sorry. I didn't mean to go on a rant. I miss having that GoPro, but I'm not going to buy another one because I know I didn't use it enough. That's the
Yep.
problem. I didn't use enough, but I loved having it. I just wish I still had it for the once a year.
No, and I hear you. No, I have a GoPro too, and it was what I thought it would be like that for me. It'd be one of those things that I don't use that often. I don't think I have used it, but I could have used any camera for those few times that I used it. I was just really playing with it when I first got it, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't versatile enough for me and my work style, especially since most of what I'm doing is documenting things that I'm working on, which is hours long. So, I mean, yeah, the battery life wouldn't be long enough for almost anything that I do, and plugging it in was weird. I mean, it just didn't work out for me. But again,
Yeah.
for this drone, I see myself using it a lot in the future.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, where do you want to leave this off? We kind of just this was a miscellaneous episode. This was a
Yeah,
catching up on
miscellaneous.
various things.
Yeah, my guess is, if my memory serves me well, it started off and is mostly, I think, tied to content creation and advice for that in the beginning, and then how about adapting to our lives with it, and then we talked about camera stuff, so it kind of all hooks together in that way. Yeah, I'd say, one more thing I'd maybe just bring up, and hopefully we don't get on too long, is I'm working with a local theater company right now, which they're in COVID, so they're not doing live performances. But what they're doing is a live stream show. But this company's doing it the right way, because a lot of places are doing like theater shows and then they're filming it and streaming that. Whereas this one is doing almost like Blair Witch style. Like it's a Zoom call. These people are on Zoom, but it's all scripted. So it's like you're eavesdropping in on the Zoom call, and it's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that.
It's the best way. I think it's again, a lot of places are doing things, and doing the stage stuff is fine too, and people will like that. But I think this is really immersive. It makes you feel like it's almost like the War of the Worlds type of thing on the radio, right?
I I love it. And you know what? I was just having this conversation with my manager earlier today about the fact that 6 months ago, when I was doing some virtual magic shows, it was pretty much just I got to figure out a way to take the magic show I've been doing for 15, 16 years and put some cameras in front of it, right? And figure out, and I adapted a few things. Some things that I took out because they wouldn't work, but it was mostly my old show in a new format. And 6 months later, I'm not doing my old show in a new format anymore. I'm doing a show that I've built for this format. I've slowly found ways to go, this is a different medium. It's got different strengths and different weaknesses, and I'm building material for the show and things I never would have considered doing on stage or in live performances, like goofy sound effects and stuff like that, that just really work in this environment. And that's such a it's such a good lesson about the medium. Oh, the medium always dictates the art in some way. The medium of the day. It's like, you know, I remember, and you'll get this with magic. I remember when television magic started happening, and what I mean is magicians having TV specials started happening, and there were clearly some creative camera edits going on that magicians could recognize and stuff. And there was this big debate, and it said there shouldn't be any camera edits. Nothing should happen on this special that couldn't be happening in real time live in a real show. And I think, I mean, maybe, but you think back to like the first ever stage magicians. They used trapdoors. Now, before they were stage magicians, they didn't have trapdoors because there was no way to have a trapdoor because you didn't have a stage. Once they were on stage, they used the stage because it was a new medium and they used what the medium had available to them. And TV magicians were using the TV medium that was available to them. And in some ways, I think, I have to imagine for you, like as an artist, like a physical artist throughout history, I'm sure, and I don't know enough about art history, I'm sure that as different technologies and different paints and different canvases and different different types of paper and pencils were invented, it changed how the art was done, right?
And it still is,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
just for a crude example, look at the South Park. It started off as paper cut pieces, right? And then, I mean, now not only is it not that, I mean, it's 100% digital, which is no surprise to anybody. I mean, most children's book illustrators now never put paper to pen. They just do it all with tablets and iPads or the other built into a desktop versions of that, which is the name's escaping me. It's just the way the world is. People say, "Oh, well, that's not the way it used to be done." But you know what? If Van Gogh was born today, I think he might embrace some of that stuff.
Of course.
People use what's available to them.
Of course. That I'm so glad you brought that up. People always like, oh, so and so would be rolling in their grave. No, they'd be the best of today's medium. That's what they would be. Van Gogh would be the Van Gogh of using Wacom tablets. Like that's what it would be. Like people, like if Steve Jobs hadn't been born in that exact 2 years that he was born, he would not have invented the personal computer. He wouldn't have. He probably would have invented something else revolutionary for its time, maybe, right? But he wouldn't have invented the computer, the personal computer, because the materials that were available to him and the zeitgeist at the time it was only in that specific time. And I think maybe this is a good place to kind of pull it in here is content creation is always about exploring what's available to you and the ways that you can use what's available to move an audience. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. I agree.
I've had a lot of whiskey.
I got to convince myself to dump out the rest of this coffee, which is heartbreaking.
You got to switch. Oh, it's gone. You got to switch.
Yep. Well, without any further ado, on to the next project.
On to the next project. For all we know, my next project is coming in a few days.
Yes.